Macmillan Audio presents The Real Crash, America's Coming Bankruptcy, How to Save Yourself and Your Country, by Peter D. Schiff. Read for you by Oliver Wyman. Introduction. I guess you were right about the crash, Peter. I hear that a lot in reference to my 2007 book, Crash Proof, where I predicted an economic catastrophe in the United States. Since late 2008, when the housing market had collapsed and major banks went to the brink of failure, whenever people credit me with calling the crash, it pains me to tell them that what they saw in 2008 and 2009 wasn't the crash. That was the tremor before the earthquake. The real crash is still coming. Just as the housing bubble delayed the economic collapse for much of the last decade on the strength of imaginary wealth, today twin bubbles in the U.S. dollar and Treasury bills and bonds are providing a similar prop. But the day will come when the rest of the world stops trusting America's currency and our credit. Then we'll get the real crash. During my run for Senate in 2010, I constantly encountered politicians and journalists who blamed the current economic troubles on capitalism and free markets, arguing that more government was needed. When the bigger crash comes, the attacks on capitalism will become louder, and the proposed government interventions will become even more extreme. This makes sense. Politicians want more power, and they know that crises and panics are the best opportunities to get people to surrender their freedom for the promise of security. That's what Rahm Emanuel meant when he said after the 2008 election, "You never want a serious crisis to go to waste." But the government was a chief architect of the mess that we're in, and every day, government is making it worse. I invest for a living. I look for where other people are making mistakes. I look for companies or commodities that are misvalued by the market, and I study who is investing where. It's glaring that American companies are still not making capital investments. American families, after a brief period of paying down debt and increasing savings, are borrowing more than they're saving. Just as in 2008, we have too much consumption and borrowing and too little production and saving. Since the depths of the economic downturn in early 2009, most of the wealth we've created has, once again, been imaginary. Real estate is still grossly overpriced. Most stocks are still overpriced as valuations are based on earnings and artificially low interest rates, and both are unsustainable. Companies that are hiring are probably making mistakes they will soon regret. The fundamentals of the economy are not sound, not even close. 4 years ago, I said that the disease in the economy is debt-financed consumption, and that the cure would require a recession. But the medicine I prescribed, Americans consuming less and saving more while companies invest for the long term and the government tightens its belt, was deemed too bitter a pill to swallow by the Bush and Obama administrations. Instead, they fed us bailouts and stimulus to blow the bubble back up. This political aversion to austerity has set us up for an even bigger crash. Not only did I predict the recent collapses of the housing bubble and the stock market in Crash Proof, I also predicted the government reaction. I was the original opponent of the 2008 Wall Street bailout because I was opposing it in 2007, a year before the Bush administration even proposed it. In 2006 and 2007, when I made all these predictions, the experts laughed at me. Literally, search for Peter Schiff was right on YouTube and you'll see. I was dubbed Dr. Doom for my dire and ultimately correct predictions. While the laughter and the names never hurt my feelings, this time I have decided that rather than simply predicting doom, I would lay out a comprehensive set of solutions. That's why I wrote this book. My prescription at heart is this. We need to stop bailouts, government spending, government borrowing, and Federal Reserve manipulation of interest rates and debasement of the dollar. We need to reduce government spending so we can offer real tax relief to the productive sectors of our economy. We need to repeal regulations, mandates, and subsidies that create moral hazards, lead to wasteful and inefficient allocation of resources, and...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?